Back on the show. I'm going to start by playing a clip from last night, if I can, at the Republican convention. This idea that there's some people, like they had this celebrity Amber Rose out there who says she's had a conversion, right? That she used to be someone who didn't really like Donald Trump at all. Now she's a huge fan. Let's listen to a little bit of what she said.
My message to you tonight comes from a humble place. The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president.
What about this thought that, and some of the numbers back it up a little bit, that Trump may be making some inroads, especially compared to last time with black voters? What do you say?
Yeah, well, for a variety of reasons, I don't think that Amber Rose necessarily speaks for the majority of Black communities. And, I think the research, you mentioned that she had done some research, and as others have pointed out, her research must not have included like the internet, the Google machine, where there's some basic facts available, including the fact that Black unemployment has never been lower than it was under the current administration, not the previous administration. But, to the point about, are there more Black voters leaning towards the Republicans? We hear this every election cycle. We see this polling every election cycles, and the numbers never change significantly. And in spite of them rolling out a series of Black faces at their convention last night, including one who seems to feel that Black folks were better during Jim Crow. In spite of all that, you're not going to see any major shift to Trump or the Republican Party in general in this election cycle. That's what we're seeing and hearing in our communities. People are very concerned about this upcoming election.
What are you seeing in the numbers? You're not seeing it among Black men, especially young Black men. That's what we're hearing for the Republicans, not only hearing it, but seeing it in some of the numbers, putting some other states in play maybe that ordinarily wouldn't be in place. For example, Virginia, we have a recent poll from Virginia broken down by race. And if you look at it there, Trump's up 10 among white voters. President Biden in this poll has a very big lead among Black voters. Does it need to be even bigger than that in some states? Because that's what it's all about. It's all about the margins, not whether or not, Trump wins the Black vote, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know that he's not going to win the Black vote. I don't believe that he's going to get 21% or 20% of the Black vote. That hasn't happened yet, and there's no reason why he would get more Black votes in this election than what he got in 2020.
But to be clear, if he got 21, that would be a terrible number for Biden, the one that we had up there. In a place like Virginia, the margins need to be wider for Biden. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fair enough to say that it needs to be wider than that. Again, I'm old enough to remember when all the polls were saying there was going to be a red wave in 2022. I'm old enough to remember when all the polls were saying that Angela Brooks was going to lose in Maryland. She won by 10 points. And part of the reason that had happened in both of those circumstances is because of the underpolling or just the incorrect polling of Black voters. And so, no, he's not going to get 21%.
Now we're showing Biden with Jim Clyburn, obviously, because, you look back at 2020 and a lot of people point to the Clyburn endorsement as the reason Biden won the primaries, and then went on after that win in South Carolina to a huge Super Tuesday a few days later, became the nominee and then the president. So the Black vote's been important to him throughout his career. It was particularly important in his presidential run in 2020. There's an article in the New York Times today talking about Adam Schiff, the congressman from California, warning of a quote-unquote wipeout for Democrats if Biden stays in the race. I thought maybe we were past this kind of talk after what happened over the weekend, but apparently some Democrats are still pushing to get Biden out. His most loyal group of supporters really been Black voters, Congressional Black Caucus and others. So what would you say about that there's still some people pushing for him to get out?
Yeah, we're frustrated by it. We think that now is not the time to be having that discussion. President Biden is going to be the nominee. The majority of Black voters, even a majority of those that think that he's old, which, by the way, we all knew that even going back to 2020, and we knew that before the debate, and we certainly know that after the debate, but the majority of Black voters still say that they would rather that he be the nominee. What you're seeing is that you're seeing some Democratic elected officials who are faint of heart, combined with some mega donors, combined with some media personalities that have been calling now for 3 weeks for the president to drop out. And in spite of this barrage, what we've seen is that he's actually been holding steady in the polls. Imagine if they had spent, people like Adam Schiff or George Clooney had spent the past 3 weeks actually bolstering up the Biden-Harris ticket instead of trying to tear it down.
Well, Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.